Sindani, and I am from Jakarta, Indonesia. I was born in Jakarta, brought up in India for 14 years, and then back to Jakarta. And I started my work, I'm in early childhood education. So I started this preschool of mine, a little preschool I started about 18 years ago. So I started it in the garage of my house. At that time, there was a need for preschools then, English-speaking preschools. And my children, I started this especially for my children. I have 3 children. So my son was then about 2.5 and my daughter was about 1.5. So I started this in the garage of my house. The intention was to provide them with early childhood facility so that after when they are 5.5 years old, they go to school and then I close it down. There was no other intention. Then I had this phone call from a friend who asked me, what are you doing with, where are you sending your children, your son? Which preschool are you sending him to? So I said, I'm starting it in my house because I can't send them anywhere. So basically I didn't have the transport to go to the other end of the town to send them. There was also a money issue because it was very expensive to send them to an English-speaking preschool. So then I started in the garage of my house. My friends sent over their children. So on November 23rd November 1992, I started the preschool with 5 children and just me over there. So it took me 8 months to build it because I have a background in bachelor's in commerce, but I do not have, at that time I didn't have anything to do with early childhood education. So I had to do a whole lot of research. I did a correspondence course. At that time it was all through, written correspondence and stuff. So then I finally was prepared and I started it in November of 1992. And after 2 years, within that year, it just grew. I mean, a lot of people started sending in their children. So before I knew it, it became a business. Then I had 25 children at the end of the year. I had to move to another place, and then I got myself registered, and then it grew. And at some point of time, of course, my dream initially was to set up my own export company and stuff like that. But then once I saw how this was growing, and I saw what difference I was making to the life of these children, there was no stopping me. So then I grew. I have now 2 preschools, and now I'm into, because now over the past 5-7 years there have been a lot of preschools that have mushroomed over there. But what happened is that the teachers are lacking. So we have more preschools than teachers. So the teachers over there, I mean, if you have to look out for a teacher, it's very hard because you get all these housewives who think that they can teach, and they go in and apply for the jobs. And because they just know English, they're given the jobs. But then they're doing more damage than good. So I started this training center, and in the course of the whole few years that I started with, I started doing a lot of courses in early childhood education. I did a diploma in Montessori education, and I did a certificate in preschool teaching and a diploma in preschool teaching. Everything that had to do with preschool, I updated myself. So then there was this anger that all these children are just getting deprived of. I mean, they're doing more damage than good, all these teachers. So I started a training center 5 years ago, and now I'm into training teachers as well. So my whole vision is that Jakarta should have enough of teachers to educate these children in the early years, because if they don't, then it just doesn't have the proper result. And it's just the children who suffer. It's become more of a business over there. So that's what I do. In addition to that, I also look at neglected schools over there. So there are a lot of, Indonesia, as you know, is a developing country, so we have a lot of poor children over there. And in the villages, there are a lot of these schools that are just neglected by the government because of lack of funds and stuff. So I go there and I support them as well. I do raise funds and stuff, and I train their teachers, etc.
The question is, when you started, did you did you have a heart for children? I mean, yes, you had your own kids, but to accommodate 20 is a totally different ball game altogether. Did you
Yes.
have a heart for those 20 screaming kids at one stage, probably
I
looking for food?
did not think that I would, because like I said, I started with the intention of just my 2 children.
Yeah.
I started with a selfish intention of having just my children. But then as it grew, I found that it was easier. It's definitely much easier to handle other people's children than your own. Your own tend to take advantage of you and tend to throw all the, that, but the other people's children. And it was during that time, that period when I grew, that I realized that I really could connect very well with children. I have this connection because I can feel what they feel. It's more like that. And I have the same connection with dogs. I have 2 dogs at home. It's just when a child is crying in the mother's arms, and even though I do not know the mother or I do not know the child, I know what the child is crying for. So that is a feeling thing. See?
Yeah.
So I do have a little bit of that. So I feel for the child, and because of that, my love for children grew and grew and grew.
Yeah.
It was like that. But to start with, no.
Yeah.
My brothers laughed at me when I started my school because I used to have very less patience with them. I have 4 younger brothers, and my mother used to tell me to teach them, and I would get so angry when they didn't do things right, and I would, poke their, book when I used to teach them. I never had any patience. But when it came to my children, it was different. And then I guess it's because I matured also.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of different things.
Obviously, having spent some time in the business now, someone coming to you and say, "I want to start a business, Sony." What would the advice be?
I do consultation.
Okay.
Yeah, I give them consultation. Sometimes I give the consultation for free. Sometimes I charge them. It depends on whether I know they are able to pay me or not. So if they're doing it for a good cause, then I don't charge anything. But if I see that they're doing it with the intention of, business in mind, then I charge them. It just depends on. The same thing with my children also. When I started my school, my first thing, because I could not send my children to an English-speaking school over there because of money reasons. So when I started my school, it was like any child that walks in through my door will not go out of my door just because they cannot afford the fees.
Yeah.
So when a parent comes to me and says, "I want to put your child," and then says that I cannot afford your fees, I would ask them, "What can you afford?" And whatever they say, I accept. That is because education cannot be given for free, otherwise there's no value.
Yeah.
So they have to pay something, but it should be something that they can afford, that's for sure. Yeah.
But then there's also a debate to some entrepreneurs that says, is it about profit, is it about passion? In your particular case, what tends to be?
See, I have a bachelor's in commerce, and I always thought that I was a businesswoman, and I always think that I want to be a businesswoman. But I realized that my heart always wins over the money.
Yeah.
The numbers now do not make any sense. It's more of course I have to have a good bank balance, but 90% of the time you ask me what do I have in my bank account, my finance person would know, but I wouldn't know. So for me the numbers do not matter because God has been very good to me, and I have never been short of money, so I have nothing to complain about.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be less, it can be more, it doesn't really matter. I have what I need. I don't need much basically. So.
Now, when people come to you seeking for business advice, they want to start businesses. What would be some of the key points that Sony can give those up-and-coming business personalities?
In Jakarta, I give them the starting advice of how to get their licensing done, because that's very, very important. Otherwise, you get weighed down by government officials who come and just take a lot of money from you and cause a lot of pressure. It's important to start a school with no pressure. And the most important thing that I tell them is that you have to have your teachers trained. It does not matter your facility, your materials is all secondary. The first thing is a teacher with a heart. Only then. You know, if the teacher is a good teacher, even out of nothing, she can make materials and she can teach the child. Even under a tree with nothing in her hands, she can teach the children plenty of things, just with nature to help her. But if the teacher is not good, even if you have all these facilities, you have a carpeted, you have an air-conditioned environment, you have all the books and the materials, but if the teacher is not good, the children are not going to learn anything. Impossible.
Now, what does it mean to be an iwec awardee? You are part of this wonderful group.
It's an honor. It's an honor. See, for me, just today itself, and yesterday and today, it has been very inspiring to see all these women, and I go like, wow. Makes me feel like nothing in front of them because their achievements are huge. But then it's also an honor and to be amongst them. And I feel very touched that it has been, I have been acknowledged for the little that I am doing. You see, so it's been very touching.
And are you looking forward to spend a little bit more time with them in the next couple of days?
Oh, yeah. I look forward to all the outings and the wine tasting and everything. It's lovely.
Any particular thing or two probably that you think you have learned in interacting with the other entrepreneur women that you have met so far?
Yeah, it's surprising because each one have reached to their own status, and I have been very inspired, and I have, as much as I look up to them, I find that they look up to me the same way. It was like, it was something, I think everybody looks up to everybody for what they have done. So I think it's really, really very nice. And the biggest thing that I get out of this is I've made very good friends over here, especially in Africa. I've got an invitation from a lady to come to Ethiopia the next time, and she says, you have to stay in my house, and it's so big-hearted I cannot imagine. Yeah, very big-hearted people.
Once again, congratulations for
Thank
being
you so
an
much.
iwec awardee.